From the studios of Books in Motion, this is Kris Faulkner reading 6 Dancing Damsels by C.K. Crigger. Let's begin with the prologue. She sat primly in the front row, her silvery grey skirts gathered close around her ankles to keep her husband from trampling them beneath his spit-shined shoes. He wouldn't have noticed if he had ruined the expensive watered silk. His attention was fixed on a buxom woman on the stage in front of them. The woman, her hair a dark copper gilded in gold, danced like a wild thing, lifting legs clothed in sheer black stockings high. She watched him without blinking, although he didn't notice. He ignored her, panting with his mouth slightly open at the sight of this woman. She deemed the female no better than a prostitute. All decent women knew what those women who spent time on stage were. Her teeth clenched, deepening the lines around her mouth. He was always unaware of her these days. Actresses and dancers and women of all low sorts entranced him, now that he was certain her fortune was in his hands. Rage blossomed like the vases of impossibly red hothouse roses, which were situated at each end of the stage, red like blood. She liked the vision that was floating through her mind. The dancers, 5 of them plus the red-haired tart starring in the show, pranced off the stage, their legs kicking in unison. He clapped and whistled loudly between his teeth, drawing amused and curious looks from those seated near them. There was their banker, Mr. Biddlestrom, and his wife, Mrs. Biddlestrom, who were staring directly at them as she whispered in her husband's ear and laughed. She felt the blood draining from her brain, and for a moment all vision faded. When she could see again, she saw Mr. Belter, the mayor, wink at her husband with a smirk and a raised eyebrow. Mr. Poole and Amy, his wife, were looking too, and wore what she knew were disapproving stares. She would be the laughingstock of Spokane tomorrow, thanks to her husband's wandering eye. And those floozies up on the stage, their legs flashing, red and brown and blonde curls dancing. She wasn't a stupid woman, dull, maybe, and strict, but not stupid. Actually, she prided herself on her creativity. A plot for vengeance began to form in her mind, and the roses helped. The inspiration was in their velvety red petals. Chapter 1. This might be a mistake. The thought glowed like a beacon in my mind, no matter how hard I tried to ignore it. Oh, I knew my idea was good. The practical application, maybe not so much. I, along with 4 of the 5 men who'd arranged themselves against the office wall of the Doyle and Howe Detective Agency, stared at each other. At 7 a.m, we were all a little bleary-eyed. The men huddled around the heat of a wood stove, striving valiantly to warm the room. I sat at my desk wearing my coat and gloves. One of the men, a short fellow, almost as thick as he was high, elbowed his neighbor. "What's with the dame?" he asked in a loud whisper, and the neighbor rubbed his abused ribs and shrugged. They'd both find out. I suppose I should have been intimidated by these 5 strange men, but never fear. My trusty .32 caliber Smith & Wesson pocket pistol lay within easy reach, not that I'd planned on putting it to use during these job interviews. Besides, Mr. Pinelli, my own very special neighbor and guardian angel, recovered from a bloody attack on his person a couple of months ago, was within call. He'd promised to keep his ears open in case I ran into trouble. Let me explain. I am Miss China Bohannon, office manager and sometimes investigator at the Doyle and Howe Detective Agency. I live with my uncle, Montgomery Howe, in an apartment above the office. He's in the process of buying the building. My mission this morning was to set up my own business. No, not another detective agency. I don't want to directly compete with Gratton Doyle and my uncle. I just...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?